Guys, all of you get my voice on screen. Please confirm to me. All of you get my voice on screen, guys. Those are attending in online. Guys, and just give a minute of time. I'll come back and I'll start the session. Just 1 minute. Guys, all of you get my voice on screen. Please confirm to me. Guys, once again, please confirm to me. All of you get my voice on screen. Those are attending in online. Am I audible? No response, guys. Am I audible? Right. Guys, what we are discussing there, can you please confirm to me? I think so. We are discussing about like what their steps to prepare Hibernate applications. What are the various steps here we are using there? Download Hibernate software, that means jar files from internet. Download and install database software. Download and install Java software and Eclipse IDE. Create Java project and add all Hibernate jar files and database dependent jar file to the project. Create persistence class. Prepare Hibernate mapping file. Prepare Hibernate configuration file. Prepare Hibernate client application. These are overall concepts here what we required. Out of all these things, what we completed here, download Hibernate software, that part we completed. Download and install database software, already we have done it. Download and install Java software and Eclipse study, that already we have done it. Create Java project and all Hibernate jar files to the database dependent jar file, that's okay, that we are going to do that. But create persistence class, that what we required. Okay. Already we understood that persistence class there. Then after that, here we have to understand like what there, prepare Hibernate mapping file. Right, guys. Now let's understand this. What exactly the purpose of the mapping file? What is the need of this particular mapping file, guys? Observe carefully. The purpose of the mapping file is, the main purpose of mapping file is, the main Purpose of mapping file is to provide mapping between object-oriented features, object-oriented elements, and relational data model elements. Like what are these actually? Already we understood that. So like what there? A class 2. What next one? A table. Next one, ID property to primary key. Next one is normal property to like what they know. Here we can understand like what there a column. Like this and so on and so on and so on. So many things here we are able to provide. This is what exactly the main purpose of like what there mapping file that what we are getting there. Understand guys what I'm telling to you. Alright sir. In Hibernate applications, mapping file is responsible for the following mappings. What are the various mappings here we are able to use throughout this Hibernate here? What are the various? The mapping file is responsible for the following mappings. What are the various mappings are existed here? Understand this clearly. Basic object relational mapping. Then what I said to you previously, the basic object relational mapping here we are able to provide. Next one is like what their component mapping. After this component mapping, next one is like what their collections mapping. After this collection mapping, next one is like what their inheritance mapping. After this inheritance mapping, then what next one get? Associations mapping. Associations mapping. Right, and so on. So many examples. Up to now, these examples are sufficient here. So many here we are able to provide clearly. Right, so now these are the various mapping details here we are able to provide inside this Hibernate configuration file, Hibernate mapping file. Nice, very good. But how we are going to prepare this Hibernate mapping file? Hibernate mapping file is what there is an XML file, and its name should be right. I'm telling there poso class name dot hbm dot xml. This is a standardization for giving mapping file. Then what is this HBM guys? Now tell me. What is the meaning of this HBM? Now tell me. No answer for it guys. What is this HBM? Guess it. What is the abbreviation for HBM? Yes. What is the abbreviation of HBM? Hibernate mapping file. HBM is what there? Hibernate mapping file. Okay. Right, sir. Hibernate mapping file. HBM in the sense like what there? Hibernate mapping file that we have to understand. Next one is after that, after understanding this, then how we are able to prepare this in this. This is the name here we are able to provide Hibernate mapping file here. Poso class name dot hbm dot xml. That what we are providing clearly. Right, sir. In general, in Hibernate, we will provide a separate mapping file for each and every Poso class. For each and every Poso class. Right, sir? Then immediately here we are having a question now. What is that question here? Guys, observe this question clearly. What I'm telling there. How this question is available. What is this question actually? Here we have a question. What about this question now? In Hibernate, is it possible to provide more than one POSO class configuration in a single mapping file? This is a question, guys. In Hibernate, is it possible to provide in Hibernate applications? Simply speaking, in Hibernate applications, is it possible to provide more than one POSO class in a single mapping file? Answer for this question is like what there? Yes, it is possible to provide more than one class configuration in a single mapping file. Yes, it is possible. But the suggestion is what there. But the suggestible thing is to provide one mapping file. But the suggestible thing is one mapping file for one POSO class. We can provide more than one. We can provide like what there more than one POSO class. We can provide more than one POSO class configuration in a single mapping file. But the suggestible thing is what there one mapping file for one POSO class. Can understand guys what I'm telling to you? Right guys, all of you are getting my point now. Next one is after that, after completion of this, is the Hibernate mapping file is mandatory or optional? Again, this another question here we are having guys. Now try to answer for it. Is that mapping file is optional or mandatory? Any answer from your side, guys? Is that mapping file is mandatory or optional? Right. Now the point is what there. Question is a Hibernate or else here. In other words, I'm telling there. Is it possible to prepare? Is it possible to prepare Hibernate applications without using mapping file? Is it possible to use Hibernate? Is it possible to create Hibernate application without using a mapping file? Come on, guys. You have to give answer for this question here. All right. Answer is what? What is the answer for this particular question? No. Answer is what there? Yes. Yes, it is possible to prepare Hibernate application without using mapping file. But without using mapping file, but we have to use. But what we have to use, guys? But we have to use what they know annotations. Annotations here we have to use. Annotations are available. Guys, understand it clear. Here we are able to use what their annotations can. Annotations is the one of the part here we have to use there clearly. Right, sir. Now here what I am telling there before the note kind of point here I'm telling to you before Hibernate 3.2.5 version mapping file is mandatory in Hibernate applications. Okay. Before Hibernate 3.2.5 version, mapping file is mandatory in Hibernate applications. But from Hibernate 3.2.5 version onwards, But from Hibernate 3.2.5, 3.2.5 version onwards, Hibernate mapping file is optional. Hibernate mapping file is what there? Optional. In place of mapping file, we can use annotations. We can use what there? Annotations. Not required to go for all. We can, in place of this mapping file, we are able to use like what there? In place of mapping file, we can use what there? Annotations. Right, sir. Annotation support is available. Right, guys. Now tell me, I'm asking one question to all of you guys. Now try to answer for it. To provide basic, Hibernate applications, to provide basic Hibernate applications, what exactly the mapping details can we require, guys? Now tell me, what exactly the mapping details can we require here? That information here I want to provide in the form of some configuration file now. Right, guys, all of you observe this clearly. In Hibernate applications, to prepare mapping file for basic OR mapping, we have to use the following XML tags. What are the various XML tags here we are able to use, guys? Now observe carefully. What are the various XML tags here we are able to use there? Now try to understand it. First, here we have to specify like what there, doc type. Okay, then inside this doc type, there is a root tag. Hibernate mapping is what the root tag for the entire Hibernate mapping file. Hibernate mapping. Right, sir. Inside this Hibernate mapping, what tag is available here? Class tag is existed here. Class here, two parameters are available. One is a name parameter, and other one is like what their table parameter. Here we have to close this class tag. Now inside this class tag, next here we have to provide like what their ID tag. This is for like what their primary key column configuration. ID tag here we have to provide. Inside this ID tag here, what we have to provide there, name of the property. Then after that, column. Like this here, we are able to provide some content here. Then after this ID, then what next one here? Property. Name is equal to something. Column is equal to something. And so on and so on. Here we are going to get it. Number of tags here we are able to use. Any number of tags here we are able to use. That depends on your requirement. Okay. Next one after that. Mapping file information here we understood that. Basic tags here we provided here. Then what are the tags information here we provided there? First one is like what there? Hibernate. Hibernate mapping is a root tag for the Hibernate mapping file. Right. Then after that, class tag. What is the purpose of this class tag now? Is able to provide mapping between poser class name, class name and table name. Class tag is able to provide mapping between poser class name and a table name. Okay. Guys, all of you get my point or not? Next one is like what tag here we have used there. Inside the class tag, ID tag is able to provide mapping between ID property from class and primary key from table. Okay, then after that, what next one here? After completion of this, property tag is able to provide mapping between normal property from from a class and what next one here? Mapping between normal property from class and a column value in a relational data mode. Okay, now these are the various things here we are able to understand clearly. And one more time, I'm telling there, name attributes are available. Attributes also here we have to understand there. What are the various attributes are existed here? In a class tag, name is representing what their fully qualified name of the respective class, and table tag is taking like what they know, or like a table name, respective table name. Okay. In class tag, name attribute will take fully qualified name of the POSO class. Next one, in a class tag, table attribute. In a class tag, then what is the point here? In a class tag, table attribute will take the respective table name. Respective table name, guys. Next one is in a property tag, name attribute will take property name and value attribute will take not value here, then I think so column attribute will take the respective database table column. Right, so now these are like what I'm telling to you, the points what we understood there clearly. Okay, now here some cases are available, guys. Then what cases are existed here? If POSO class property names and a table column names are same, then it is not required. Then it is not required. Then it is not required to provide column attribute in all the tags, in all the id comma property tags. Right guys, now this is exactly the meaning of like what there mapping file information, what we understood. There's a total information about like what there mapping file here. Okay, then after preparing this mapping file, then what next one here we have to prepare there? After getting this mapping file, then what next one here we have to prepare there? Now try to understand it. Okay, right guys. Guys, just give a minute of time, guys. One small point. Give a minute of right, guys. Now observe this clearly. So if poser class property names and table column names are the same, then it is not required to provide column attribute in all the ID tags, ID and property tags. Okay, it's optional actually. So then in the case of this, it is optional here. We can understand clearly. Right, guys. Then total information here we are giving there. Now here some tags here we provided. No, then some example content here I want to provide. Try to recognize the guys. Then what is that example here I'm telling to you? For example, my poso class is like what there employee.java. Please recognize this point here. My POSO class is what there employee.java. Let's understand this. Public class employee. Inside this, what we provided here, private int env, private string ename. Next one is private float esal. Next one is like what there, private string EADDR. That's a table here I'm trying to take. Here next one is like what there, we have to provide like what there, set xxx methods and get xxx methods. Then we're able to take all these things. Okay. Public class employee, private int env, private string ename, private float decel, and private string EADDR. That all the content here we provided here in this way. That's okay. Fine now. Then what next one here? After completion of this now, another thing is like what there. Now the database table name also here I'm trying to provide here. What is my database table here? You can understand clearly. EMP1 table actually. Here what we have there now, ENO, ename, ECell, EADDR. Table is available like this with this columns here now. Now my mapping file should be like what there. What is my mapping file here now? Employee.hbm.xml. This is mapping file here. Inside this mapping file, what we are able to have there. First of all, here we have to provide like what there, doc type. Doc type. Now inside this doc type here, what we are able to provide there, Hibernate mapping. Then slash Hibernate mapping. Inside this Hibernate mapping here, we are able to provide like what there, class. Class here we have to provide name is equal to just fully qualified with respect to class com dot Durgasoft dot something else like what there, beans dot employee. Then table is equal to database table here we have to provide, that is what there, EMP1. This is like what I'm telling there, class. After this class, then what next one here, ID. Now here name is equal to, inside this ID here we have to provide like what there, ID. Then what next one here, column is equal to ENO. Similarly, what I'm able to provide there, property name is equal to ename. Then here I can take like what there, column is equal to ename. Next one is after that, property name is equal to esal, column is equal to esal, property name is equal to EADDR, column is equal to EADDR. Like this here we have to provide. This is the mapping file here whenever we are having this content here now. But now here what I'm telling there, another mapping file here I'm going to provide now. Where? Observe carefully. This is another one here. But column names in property names inside this bean class no, that is employee class, and table column names both are same here. If it is the case, just simply we can remove what they know without using column attribute also. Here we are able to achieve this. Right, guys, observe carefully now. This is like what I'm telling you. This is a total content here we can understand now. Okay. Guys, all of you are getting my points clearly, what I'm telling there? Fine. Guys, are you understanding it, what I'm telling to you? No response, guys, all of you know. Right, now guys, then one point I said to you, now please recognize this one again. There is a note I'm giving there. Please, all of you read this. Pranya, please read this one here. If a POSO class property names and a table column names are same, then it is not required to provide column attribute in all the ID and property tags. Understand it? Pranya, Pradnya, Pradnya. Yes, all right. So this is the reason why in the first example, this is employee.java given, property names are specified there. In the table, column names are specified here. Both are same. Then we can provide, even though both are same, we can provide column attribute and name attribute in all the cases. Okay, that's okay. But in the case, then both are same here. Again, we can remove like what there. We can remove that what there no, then column attribute here. If both are different, then it is mandatory to provide name attribute and column attribute. If both are not same, we must provide both. If both are same there, then column attribute is optional. Just name attribute only sufficient clearly. Right. If they are different, definitely we have, must provide different content. Now, for example, in the same gear I'm providing there. All right, sir. If POSO class property names and database table names are table database table column names are different, then it is mandatory to use column attribute in ID tag and property tag. That's it. That's enough. This is an example for like what there, the total mapping file. Then to the basic application here, we are able to provide this mapping file here. That's okay, guys. Next one is after completion of this, the next content would be like what there after completion of this mapping file here. Then third one is we have to prepare like what there Hibernate configuration file. What is this Hibernate configuration file, guys? What is the meaning of Hibernate configuration file? What it able to provide here? What is the main purpose of Hibernate configuration file? The main purpose of Hibernate configuration file is to provide all the configuration details of the application like what next one can know, data base driver details, comma dialect information. Then after this dialect information there, then what next one here, driver details and dialect information mapping files, names and locations, names and locations, and so on. The main purpose of the Hibernate application, Hibernate configuration file, is to provide all configuration details of the application like database, driver details, dialect information, mapping files, names and locations, and so on. So many things are available here. Okay. Then how we are able to prepare this Hibernate How we are able to prepare this Hibernate configuration file here? Hibernate applications, Hibernate configuration file name is hibernate.cfg.xml. Hibernate configuration file name is like what there? hibernate.cfg.xml. It is not fixed. It is a default name only, but it is not fixed. We can change configuration file name. We can change configuration name, but we have to give that new name information. Then we have to give that new name information to Hibernate software. In Hibernate applications, Hibernate configuration file name is hibernate.cfg.xml. It is not fixed. We can change configuration file name, but we have to give that new name information to the Hibernate software. Yeah, in our own way, we can prepare our configuration file, guys. In our own way, we are able to prepare like what their configuration file. That configuration file name we have to provide to like what their Hibernate software. Right, sir? Then here I have a question, guys. What's my question now? Is it possible to provide more than one Hibernate configuration file? Is it possible to provide more than one Hibernate configuration file in single Hibernate applications? Right, sir. Yeah, Prajna, then that information I'll provide in the application there. To the Hibernate software, we have to tell that information. What's the name and what exact the name and location of the Hibernate configuration file. Don't worry for it. When we go for application there, we are going to see that in the client application, we are going to specify the new name and location of the Hibernate configuration file here. Don't worry for it. Okay. Then apart from that, under what kind of scenario we will have different Hibernate configuration XML file for one project? Yeah, I'll give that information. First of all, Abhishek, answer for this question now. Then if you are giving answer for this question, if I give answer for this question, automatically you will get solution for your question there. Right. Is it possible to provide more than one Hibernate configuration in a single Hibernate application? All right. Answer for this question is what there. Is it possible to provide more than one Hibernate configuration file in a single Hibernate application? Answer for this question is was what there. Yes, it is possible to provide more than one Hibernate configuration file in a single Hibernate application, but in a single Hibernate application, but we have to use. We can provide more than one Hibernate configuration file in a single Hibernate application when we use more than one database in Hibernate application, single Hibernate application. Yes, it is possible to provide more than one Hibernate configuration file in a single Hibernate application when we use more than one database inside. When we use more than one database in a single Hibernate application. That means for each and every database, we have to provide a separate configuration file. Right, guys, understand it clearly. It is possible to provide. It is possible to provide more than one Hibernate configuration file in a single Hibernate application when we use more than one database in a single Hibernate application. That is, for each and every database, we have to provide a separate Hibernate configuration file. Okay, so got confused with the JP and Hibernate. Then guys, where I have used JP as of now. So far we are not using any JP, just only Hibernate related information I'm telling there. Melvin, Melvin, are you there? That's what I'm clarifying. Do you not try to understand it? Try to understand this. Yes, can we integrate one persistence database and one in-memory database for one project based on the Hibernate application? Of course, we can do that in a single Hibernate application. See the point what I'm telling to you. In a single Hibernate application, we can connect with more than one database. That's possible. Understand it? Then more than one database we can connect in a single Hibernate application. Say for example, my Hibernate application is single. Say Hibernate application is nothing but what their Java application. Java application is nothing but what their Java project. Simple. So in a single Java project, can we use more than one database? Am I right or not? Yes, understand it clearly. Hibernate application in the sense what their Java project only, our enterprise application only. But in our enterprise application, I mean is more than one database. Whenever we are using more than one database, then definitely more than one configuration file here we have to prepare. The configuration files we have to prepare as per the databases only. Mapping files must be prepared as per the POSO classes and database tables. But configuration files must be provided as per what they know, databases only. So if we are using multiple database in a single project, definitely we have to prepare multiple configuration files in our project. Definitely we have to use that. Understand guys what I'm telling there? Yeah, exactly. Abhishek Patnaik. Then see what I said to you there. Then we have to recognize one more point here in the starting point configuration file. In Hibernate applications, Hibernate configuration file name is hibernate.cfg.xml. Then immediately what I have given information that please read out this statement. No, it is not fixed. We can change configuration file name, but we have to give that new name information to the Hibernate software. Abhishek, understand this point what I'm telling there. So by default name is what there hibernate.cfg.xml. In the case if you want to change it, you can change it, but the changes must be provided to the Hibernate configuration file now. Okay, for example, Oracle and MySQL two databases here I've used there. Then my requirement is what there. My requirement is for each and every database we have to prepare what they know a separate configuration file. For Oracle, what I'm telling to you, I'm telling there hibernate dot hibernate underscore. Then what next one here? Oracle dot right what there cfg dot xml that I can provide. Next one is like what there mysql mysql for mysql hibernate underscore mysql dot cfg dot xml that we can provide. That's what I'm telling there. Now observe carefully. Now here how many configuration file I provided here? For Oracle hibernate underscore Oracle. This name may be anything guys, but extension should be even that dot cfg also be optional there. We can provide this. Then hibernate underscore Oracle dot cfg up to that is optional. Dot xml file is only the thing here we require. Any name we can use, but that names must be provided to like what they know configuration object there. Inside the client application, we have to give these names to the configuration. Yes, got it or not? This is a point here. So our request will be our request understand which Hibernate configuration file here. If you understand this, if you go for it, no, that depends on the configuration object. Whenever I'm moving to the configuration, that means client application there, we are able to understand clearly. But anyway, then if you want to know that, I will give some clarity there. Now try to understand it. Guys, all of you understand it clearly. Right, sir. Now, for our point, I'm telling to you, yeah, instead of saying here, I can give answer for this particular one. No, here, instead of here, here I'm giving these points here. For Aragil, hibernate underscore aragil.cfg.xml. For MySQL, hibernate underscore mysql.cfg.xml that I provided here. Now, observe carefully. For this, one configuration object, and for this, another configuration object. Okay, from this, one session factory object, and for this, another session factory object. But don't ask me what is session factory. In the client application, I have to cover all these things. But here itself, we are asking questions. That's why I'm responding for this. Now, here what I'm telling you know, Aragil, Hibernate, one separate configuration file. These configuration details are going to be stored in the form of a separate object. That object is what their configuration object. We are going to prepare configuration object for each and every configuration file. On the basis of this configuration object, a separate session factory object here we are able to get. On the basis of the session factory object, there we are able to get a separate session object. Now tell me guys, all of you know, my client application, that means my Hibernate application is single. Inside my single Hibernate application, how many databases I'm using there? Two databases I'm using. Then with respect to the two databases, no, two configuration files here we prepared. To manage both the configuration details, no, two separate configuration objects we created. From that each configuration object, session factory object will be created. From this each seven session factory object, the separate session object will be created. And finally, the session objects are performing persistence operation. So in that way here we are able to have like what they know, the databases and configuration files and configuration objects and session factory objects here we are getting clear. But configuration object, session factory object I will cover in client application, not here. But here we have to understand only one point here. What is that point here we have to understand there? We can use more than one database in a single Hibernate application. Whenever we are using more than one database, no, automatically for each and every database we have to provide a separate configuration file. There we are able to use like what there, Aragil, hibernate underscore aragil dot cfg.xml. Then hibernate underscore mysql dot cfg.xml. In that way, here we are able to provide like what there, configuration details clearly. Yes, guys, all of you are getting my points clearly. All of you understand these points clearly. Please response to me. Give response to me, guys. Yes, Abhishek, exactly. Perfect. Yeah, what you thought, that is right. During creation of the configuration object, we are giving configuration file as an argument. Exactly. Then as per that, the configuration file is able to manage the respective database configuration details which we specified in the respective configuration file now. Okay. Right, sir. Then after that, after completion of this particular one, what next one here we are able to do now. That's okay, fine. Now here we give an answer for this question here. But how we are able to prepare, how we are able to provide this content here. Then before that, I need to give some clarity here. What's the point here? What exactly the responsibilities of the Hibernate configuration file? Then what we are able to provide inside the Hibernate configuration file, if you observe this clearly. Now try to understand this clearly now. Right, sir. In general, in a Hibernate applications, Hibernate configuration file is responsible for the following configuration details. What are the various configuration details clearly? Observe carefully. What are the various configuration details here? Right, sir. Understand this clearly. Right, the very first one. What are these configuration details now? First one is connection properties we required, mapping files configurations, connection properties configurations. Then after this mapping files configurations, dialect configurations. After this dialect configurations there, then what next one here? Transactions configurations. After this transactions configurations now, caching mechanisms configurations, caching mechanisms configurations get. Next one is connection pooling mechanisms configurations, and so on and so on and so on. So many configuration details here we are able to provide inside this. Okay, so many things are existed here that and so on here we can provide. Alright, then here to prepare this configuration file, what exactly the tags here we are able to use to prepare Hibernate configuration file. To prepare Hibernate configuration file, we have to use the following tags. What are the various tags here we are able to use? Now, first of all, here we have to provide like what there dog type. Then after that, Hibernate configuration is a root tag. Guys, I'm asking there in the mapping file, in Hibernate mapping file, what is the root tag there? Now tell me in mapping file, what is the root tag there? Come on, guys, please respond for me. In mapping file, what is the root tag there? Hibernate mapping or not? Hibernate mapping is the root tag now. Similarly, in the configuration file, what is the root tag here now? Hibernate configuration is the root tag now. Hibernate configuration that we provided here. That's okay, fine. Now inside this Hibernate configuration here, we have to provide session factory. Then here we have to specify like what there session factory. Inside the session factory, here what we have to provide there. Next we have to provide directly property. Name is equal to something, then value, then slash property. Property name is equal to something, value slash property, and so on. Then after completion of this, then what next one here? Mapping resource. Like this mapping details here we provided here. So and so on some other tags. If anything is remaining here, that we can say some other. That's it. Now this is somewhat information about like what there Hibernate mapping, Hibernate configuration file here we prepared clearly. Where the information here we can provide there all the points, all the tags information. It's okay, normal information only that we can provide there. But what are the any example here we are going to provide this? That example would be like what there hibernate.cfg.xml, for example. If you take this, observe carefully, guys. Now here what we are able to provide now, here we have to provide like what there dog type. Insert this dog type, hibernate configuration. Then insert this session factory. Then insert this property name is equal to connection dot driver underscore class. Driver class name here we have to provide. What about this driver class name? You know, Oracle dot JDBC dot Oracle driver slash property. Right. So next one is like what I'm telling there. After that, connection dot. Next one is like what I'm telling there. URL. What's that URL here? We have to provide there. JDBC colon Oracle colon thin colon at the rate localhost colon 1521 colon XE connection dot URL. Similarly here, what we are able to provide there. Alright, so now here what we have to provide there. Next one is connection dot user. My username for the database is like what their system. Here we have to provide like what the connection dot password. The connection is not mandatory, we can change it anyway. Now here we can provide like what the Durga. Then after that, after completion of this particular one, next one is property dot Hibernate dot dialect. What is the dialect here we are able to provide there? Arg dot Hibernate dot dialect dot Oracle dialect. Oracle 9 dialect is available, Oracle 11 dialect is available, Oracle dialect is available. So the dialect is providing some nativity for the database. Native SQL queries it able to generate there from the database now. Okay, so that here what we have to complete there. Then after completion of this, here we have to close like what there session factory. After the session factory, we have to close like what there Hibernate configuration. Right. This is an example. You can understand for this care, but only properties can be provided here. Direct properties. The next one is like what their mapping resource now. Employee.hvm.xml. Right, sir. That resource mapping tag is also must be provided here. This is what exactly the content here we can understand now. Right, sir. Then after this, up to now, what we completed here now, up to now, configuration file here we provided here. Next one is like what they know, client application. Almost, sir, we are coming to the ending point of this theory. If I complete this client application, directly how to start programming part only. Okay, guys. Now, then the remaining part I'll discuss within the next class. Guys, can you tell me when we are able to have next class there? When we are able to have next class, guys? Today is a Friday, right? When we are able to have next class there? Tomorrow Saturday, right? Tomorrow Saturday or Friday? I think today is a Friday, right? Then the next class will be on Monday, up to few days. Then after that, I will plan for the class on Saturday and Sunday also. Don't worry. But in the startup mode, then Saturday and Sunday no classes there. Okay. No. Actually, then I have some other schedules there. Core job people are attending the classes there at this time. No. See, I was not free. Then if I free, then definitely I'll put class 5. If the session is vacant, then definitely I'll put the classes on weekend also. Not even that. In the future, we have to attend somewhat long sessions on weekends also. Don't worry. So maybe this this weekend, just we can excuse. Then in the next weekend, I may plan for it for our classes there definitely. Okay. So next class will be on what there Monday. I'll plan for it. The next weekend onwards, we are planning on weekends also there. A recession, I think so. No, then it's a limited time only, but actually still recruitments are going on. And yesterday also we had discussion with some HR. Yesterday, day before yesterday, I think so. Had some discussion with the HR. Then where I had discussed with some various things there. Then recession is limited and temporary only, not for every company. Then some of the companies are having this problem there, but don't think about it. Yeah, it's okay. Then there are so many reasons for it. There are so many reasons. Yeah, but up to 3 years of experience and 4 years of experience, nothing is the problem there. But there are so the company problems. There are company problems there. But remaining companies are taking the people there. Recruitments are going on there in outside also. Don't think of it. Don't panic for it even. It's going on. The maybe again you are able to have recruitments maybe February month onwards. This is almost a November mid now. Then this point onwards, the dry season is going to be happen there. Next maybe February mid onwards. February mid onwards. Again, drives are going to be happen. Recruitments are going to be happen in outside. Okay, so that then this recession or maybe 1 or 2 months of time only. Then after that, again, the things are going to be good in the future. Right? Then PDF material I'll send, sir. Don't worry. So I'll talk with Harsha to share this document to you. Then don't worry for it. That's fine, guys. Then client application you have to prepare there that we are going to see on Monday. Okay. Thank you. Thanks a lot. The next weekend onwards, I'm planning on weekend classes also. Not to worry for it. Yeah, we'll have somewhat long sessions also next weekend onwards. Thank you, guys. Thanks a lot.